The last thing Emma remembered was the clock striking midnight. Then everything went black. When she woke up, her reflection in the mirror wasn't hers. The face staring back was familiar, yet impossibly wrong. A stranger's eyes blinked where hers should have been, and the note crumpled in her hand. Just 2 words, "Don't scream." But how could she not? Because whatever, or whoever, had taken her place was still in the house. Please wait. Before we start, tap that card in the top right corner and smash that subscribe button. Right now, hit the notification bell so you're first in line when new stories land. Also, you can check the Alien Paradox playlist for more exciting stories. There's a question hidden in the pinned comment below. Crack the code by watching the complete story and answer the question. Alright, let's dive into the story. The wind howled across the desolate surface of X-47N, a planet forgotten by time, its jagged obsidian cliffs cutting into the blood-red sky like broken teeth. Dr. Lila Cross adjusted the straps of her form-fitting exploration suit, the sleek black material hugging her curves as she knelt beside the alien tomb. The hieroglyphs etched into its surface pulsed faintly, as if breathing. "Damn, Lila, you look like you're about to propose to the thing." Marcus Kane chuckled, his deep voice crackling through the calms. He leaned against a nearby rock, arms crossed, his rugged face half hidden behind his helmet's visor. Lila rolled her eyes. "If I was proposing, Kane, you'd be the last one I'd invite to the wedding." Elena Vasquez, their sharp-witted biologist, smirked as she adjusted her goggles. "Careful, Marcus. She might just marry the tomb and leave you behind as the unwanted +1. Jax Reynolds, the team's wiry tech expert, didn't look up from his wrist display. "Guys, can we focus? These readings are weird. Like really weird." Lila ignored the banter, her gloved fingers tracing the ancient symbols. "This isn't just a burial site. These markings, they're warnings." Marcus pushed off the rock and sauntered over. "Warnings? Like keep out? Or abandon all hope?" "More like if you open this, you're screwed," Jax muttered. Lila hesitated, her thumb hovering over a raised glyph. "There's something alive in here." Elena frowned. "Alive? On a dead planet? That's not scientifically possible." Before Lila could respond, her finger brushed the symbol. The planet screamed. A sound like 1,000 dying stars tore through the air, shaking the ground beneath them. Lila stumbled back, her boots skidding in the dust as the tomb's massive stone door groaned open. A gust of icy wind rushed out, carrying a whisper that slithered into their helmets. "You should not have come." Marcus grabbed Lila's arm, his grip tight. "What the hell was that?" Jax's voice was strained. "That wasn't wind. That was a voice." Elena's breath hitched. "Look at the door." The darkness inside the tomb pulsed, veins of sickly blue light throbbing along the walls. Something moved in the shadows, slow, deliberate. Lila's heart pounded. "We need to go. Now." Marcus didn't argue. "Fall back to the rover." They turned to run, but the ground trembled again. This time, the scream wasn't from the planet. It came from inside the tomb, and it was getting louder. Jax's wrist display blared an alarm. "Life signs. Multiple contacts closing fast." Elena's voice was barely a whisper. "We woke something up." Lila's blood turned to ice as the first figure emerged from the tomb. Twisted, unnatural, its mouth stretched in a silent scream. Marcus raised his weapon. Too late to run. Time to fight. The creature lunged, and the real nightmare began. Elena's body convulsed violently as the black veins spread across her skin like spilled ink. Her fingers elongated into claw-like appendages, the bones cracking audibly as they reshaped themselves. Lila recoiled, her breath coming in short, panicked bursts. "Elena!" Marcus barked, grabbing her shoulder. "Snap out of it!" Elena's head jerked toward him, her once vibrant green eyes now completely black. No whites, no pupils, just endless darkness. A guttural growl rumbled from her throat, and before Marcus could react, she lashed out, her claws slicing through the fabric of his suit. Son of a... Marcus stumbled back, clutching his bleeding arm. Jax didn't hesitate. He fired his stun pistol point blank into Elena's chest. The blue energy crackled across her body, and she collapsed to the ground, twitching. Lila dropped to her knees beside her friend, her hands hovering uncertainly. What the hell is happening to her? Jax's voice was tight. Whatever's in this tomb, it's rewriting her biology. Look at her vitals. Her heart rate's through the roof, but her brain activity is wrong. Like it's not even human anymore. Marcus tore a strip of fabric from his sleeve and wrapped it around his wound. His jaw clenched. We need to get her back to the ship. Now. A wet, choking sound echoed from deeper in the tomb. Lila's head snapped up. That wasn't Elena, Jax whispered. The shadows at the end of the corridor shifted. Figures emerged, slow, unsteady, their movements jerky and unnatural. The missing scouts, or what was left of them. Their suits were torn, their faces twisted into grotesque masks of agony. Their mouths hung open in silent screams, their eyes as black as Elena's. Lila's stomach twisted. Oh God! Marcus raised his weapon. Jax, get Elena. Lila, cover our six. We're getting the hell out of here. Jax slung Elena's unconscious form over his shoulder with a grunt. She's heavier than she looks. Must be all that extra, whatever the hell this is. Lila backed toward the exit, her pulse pounding in her ears. This isn't right. Those scouts were fine yesterday. How did they? One of the infected scouts lunged, its movements suddenly lightning fast. Lila barely had time to fire. The stun blast hit it square in the chest, but it barely slowed. Marcus cursed. They're adapting. Jax adjusted his grip on Elena. Yeah, and we're running out of time. The infected scouts advanced, their bodies twitching, their black eyes fixed on the team. The whispers started again, slithering into their calms like serpents. Join us. Lila's breath hitched. Did you guys hear that? Marcus fired another shot. Hear what? I'm a little busy. The tomb walls pulsed brighter, the blue veins throbbing in time with the whispers. The air grew thicker, harder to breathe. Jax's voice was strained. We're not going to make it. Lila's mind raced. The hieroglyphs, they had to mean something. The symbols outside, they weren't just warnings. They were instructions. We triggered something. Marcus gritted his teeth. Yeah, no shit. Next time, maybe read the manual before pressing the big red button. Another scout lunged. Lila sidestepped and fired, but more were coming. Too many. Jax's voice was barely audible over the chaos. Lila, what do we do? Lila looked at Elena's twisted form, then at the advancing horde. We survive. The team burst through the tomb's entrance into the crimson-lit wasteland, their boots kicking up clouds of rust-colored dust. Behind them, the infected scouts shrieked, their twisted bodies scrambling over the ancient stone threshold. Move! Marcus roared, firing blindly over his shoulder. The stun blast barely slowed them down. Jax stumbled under Elena's weight, his breath ragged. She's getting heavier, or I'm getting weaker. Neither's good. Lila grabbed Elena's other arm, her muscles straining. We can't outrun them. The rover's too far. A shadow loomed ahead, a jagged rock formation jutting from the ground like broken teeth. Marcus pointed. There! We bottlenecked them. They dove behind the rocks, just as the first infected scout lunged. Marcus planted his boot in its chest and kicked, sending it sprawling into two others. Jax propped Elena against the stone, his hands shaking as he checked his wrist display. Her vitals are changing again. Heart rate's dropping, but brain activity's spiking. That's not possible. Lila peered over the rock. The infected were regrouping, their black eyes gleaming in the planet's eerie light. They're not just mindless. They're hunting us. Marcus ejected a spent cartridge from his pistol. Yeah, well, I'm fresh out of welcome gifts. A gurgling sound made them turn. Elena's body was convulsing again, her fingers curling into claws. Jax backpedaled. Oh, hell no. She's waking up. Elena's head snapped up, her inky eyes locking onto them. A wet, clicking noise came from her throat as she spoke, her voice distorted. You can't escape. Marcus raised his weapon. Elena, if you're in there, she lunged. Lila tackled her midair, sending them both crashing to the ground. Elena snarled, her claws raking Lila's visor, leaving deep scratches. Get her off, Lila grunted, barely holding Elena's snapping jaws at bay. Jax fumbled for his pistol. I can't get a clean shot. Marcus grabbed a rock and brought it down on Elena's head with a sickening crack. She went limp. Lila gasped, pushing the unconscious woman off her. You killed her. Marcus tossed the rock aside. Relax, Cross. I hit her like I hit my ex-wife. Hard enough to stun, not hard enough to get arrested. Jax's display beeped urgently. Guys? More incoming. A lot more. From the tomb's entrance, dozens of twisted figures emerged, their movements synchronized, their whispers merging into a chorus. Join us. Become eternal. Lila's blood ran cold. They're hurting us. Marcus cursed. To where? There's nothing out here but a deep rumble cut him off. The ground trembled as a massive fissure split the earth between them and the rover, cutting off their escape. Jax swallowed hard. Okay, new plan. The horde advanced. Lila's eyes darted to the horizon, where the planet's crimson sun was sinking fast. We don't run. We fight. Marcus chambered his last round. Finally, something I understand. As the first infected leaped, the team opened fire, but the whispers in their heads grew louder, drowning out even the gunshots. And somewhere in the chaos, Lila could have sworn she heard Elena laughing. The team fought back to back as the infected swarmed them, their black eyes gleaming with unnatural hunger. Lila's pistol grew hot in her hands as she fired round after round, each shot barely slowing the creatures down. Jax, she shouted over the chaos. Any bright ideas would be great right about now. Jax ducked as an infected scout lunged at him, barely dodging its claws. Working on it. He frantically tapped his wrist display. There's a maintenance tunnel about 50 yards west. Leads to the old mining shafts. Marcus kicked an infected off him, his face slick with sweat. You want us to go underground? With these things? Unless you've got a better plan, yes. Jax shot back. Lila grabbed Elena's limp body and started dragging her toward the tunnel. Move! Now! They sprinted across the broken terrain, the infected close behind. The maintenance hatch was half buried in the dust, its rusted hinges protesting as Marcus wrenched it open. In! He barked, shoving Jax and Lila through before diving in himself. He barely managed to slam the hatch shut as the first infected crashed into it, their claws screeching against the metal. The darkness inside the tunnel was suffocating. The only light came from their helmet lamps, casting long shadows on the damp walls. Jax leaned against the tunnel wall, panting. Okay, temporary reprieve. Now what? Lila checked Elena's pulse. It was weak, but steady. We can't stay here. They'll find a way in. Marcus wiped blood from his brow. We need to understand what we're dealing with. Jax, pull up everything you've got on those hieroglyphs. Jax's fingers flew over his display. I'm telling you, they're not just warnings. They're instructions, like a failsafe. Lila frowned. A failsafe for what? Before Jax could answer, a low, guttural moan echoed through the tunnel. Elena's body twitched, her fingers curling. Marcus raised his pistol. She's turning again. Lila placed a hand on his arm. Wait, look at her eyes. Elena's eyelids fluttered open, but instead of solid black, her irises were now streaked with silver. Her voice, when she spoke, was strained but human. Lila's breath caught. Elena, can you hear me? Elena's body spasmed, her back arching off the ground. They're in my head. The whispers, they're not just noise. They're alive. Jax's display suddenly lit up with frantic readings. Guys, her brain activity, it's spiking again, but it's different this time. Almost like she's fighting it. Marcus crouched beside her. Fighting what exactly? Elena's hand shot out, gripping Lila's wrist with surprising strength. Her silver-streaked eyes locked on Lila's. The ones who built the tomb, they weren't burying their dead. They were imprisoning something. And we woke it up. A loud bang echoed from the hatch above them. Dust rained down from the ceiling as the infected pounded against the metal. Jax swallowed hard. So what? These things are what? Ancient alien zombies. Elena's grip tightened. Worse, they're a hive mind, and they want to spread. Another bang. The hatch groaned under the pressure. Lila's mind raced. The hieroglyphs, if they're instructions, maybe they can tell us how to stop this. Marcus stood, his jaw set. Then we go back to the tomb. Jax's eyes widened. Are you insane? That's where these things came from. And that's where we'll find a way to end this, Lila said, helping Elena to her feet. Elena, can you walk? Elena nodded, though her legs shook. For now, but I don't know how long I can hold them off. The hatch above them buckled, the metal screeching. Marcus chambered his last round. Then let's move, before we lose our only advantage. As they hurried deeper into the tunnel, the whispers followed, slithering through the darkness like a living thing. And this time, Lila could almost make out words in the chaos. We see you, we are coming. The tunnel ahead branched into darkness. Somewhere in that maze was the tomb, and hopefully their only chance at survival. But first, they had to make it there alive. The tunnel walls closed in around them as they moved deeper, the air growing thick with the scent of damp metal and something else, something sour and organic that made Lila's stomach turn. Elena leaned heavily against her, each step more labored than the last. You still with us? Lila asked, tightening her grip around Elena's waist. Elena's breath came in ragged gasps. For now, but the whispers, they're getting louder. Her silver-streaked eyes darted to the shadows. They're angry. Jax led the way, his wrist display casting an eerie blue glow on the tunnel walls. According to the schematics, there should be a junction up ahead that connects to the tomb's lower chambers. Marcus brought up the rear, his pistol trained on the darkness behind them. Yeah, because breaking into the monster's house worked out so well the first time. A sudden screech of metal echoed from above. They froze as something heavy dragged across the tunnel ceiling. Jax's voice dropped to a whisper. They're in the vents. Lila's pulse pounded in her ears. Move. Quietly. They crept forward, every footfall deliberate. The junction loomed ahead, a rusted door marked with faded warning symbols. Jax pried it open with a grunt, the hinges screaming in protest. Marcus winced. Subtle. The chamber beyond was vast, its walls lined with rows of cylindrical pods, each one pulsing with the same sickly blue light they'd seen in the tomb. Elena stiffened. No, this is where they keep them. Jax stepped closer to one of the pods, wiping dust from its surface. His breath caught. Guys, there's someone inside. Lila joined him, her stomach dropping as she recognized the face behind the glass. That's Commander Hayes. He went missing 3 weeks ago. Marcus cursed under his breath. So this is where they take the infected. Elena suddenly doubled over, clutching her head. They're here. The vents above them burst open as dozens of infected scouts dropped into the chamber, their black eyes gleaming. But they didn't attack. Instead, they formed a circle around the team, their heads tilting in unison. A voice, deep, guttural, boomed from the shadows. You resist. What? Lila's grip tightened on her pistol. Who are you? Movement at the far end of the chamber. A figure emerged, taller than the others, its body covered in swirling silver veins. We are the forgotten, the banished, and you have awakened us. Jax swallowed hard. Yeah, sorry about that. We'll just see ourselves out. The figure's head snapped toward him. You do not understand. You're not prey. You are vessels. Elena let out a strangled cry as her body convulsed. The silver streaks in her eyes spread rapidly. Lila, they want to show you something. Marcus raised his pistol. I've seen enough. Before he could fire, Elena's hand shot out, knocking the weapon from his grip. Her voice was no longer her own. It was layered, echoing with countless others. The ones who built this tomb feared us. They tried to erase us. But we are eternal. Lila stepped forward, her heart hammering. What do you want? The figure extended a clawed hand. To survive. To spread. Your kind is weak, divided. We offer unity. Purpose. Marcus scoffed. Yeah, hard pass. The infected hissed in unison, their bodies tensing. The silver-veined figure tilted its head. Then you will die screaming like the others. Elena's body went rigid. The silver consumed her eyes entirely as she turned toward Lila, her mouth stretching into a grotesque smile. Starting with her, the chamber erupted into chaos as the infected lunged. Lila barely had time to react before Elena was on her, claws slashing. Marcus tackled Elena to the ground, pinning her. Jax, the pods, can you overload them? Jax scrambled to the control panel, his fingers flying. I can try, but it'll take time. Lila fired at the advancing horde, her shots barely slowing them. We don't have time. Elena thrashed beneath Marcus, her strength inhuman. They're in my mind, Lila. You have to. Her words cut off as her body spasmed violently. The silver-veined figure loomed over them, its voice a chorus of whispers. The infection cannot be stopped. It can only be embraced. Lila met Elena's eyes, still fighting, still human beneath the silver. And in that moment, she knew what she had to do. Jax, she said quietly. Below the chamber, Marcus's head snapped up. Are you insane? We'll be buried alive. Lila didn't look away from Elena. It's the only way to stop this. Elena's lips moved silently. Do it. Jax's hands hovered over the controls. Lila. The infected closed in. The whispers became a roar. Lila nodded. Now Jax. The explosion rocked the chamber, the pods erupting in a cascade of blue fire. The ceiling collapsed as the team sprinted for the exit, the screams of the forgotten echoing behind them. They barely made it out before the tunnel sealed behind them, burying the horror for now. But as Lila looked at Elena's unconscious form, she knew the fight wasn't over. Because the infection wasn't just in the tomb. It was in them. The emergency lights of their research outpost flickered as they burst through the airlock, their suits torn and bodies bruised. Jax immediately sealed the door behind them, his hands shaking as he engaged every security protocol. Containment field active, he panted, wiping sweat from his brow. That should hold them for a while. Marcus laid Elena's unconscious form on the med table, her silver-streaked veins pulsing beneath her skin. She's getting worse. We need to do something now. Lila rushed to the supply cabinet, pulling out every medical scanner they had. Jax, I need you to analyze her blood work. Look for any anomalies, anything we can target. Jax connected his wrist display to the med scanner. On it. But Lila, if this is some kind of alien hive mind infection, then we'll find a way to kill it. Marcus interrupted, his voice rough. The scanner beeped, and Jax's face paled. Oh no. No. Lila leaned over his shoulder. What is it? Jax pointed to the screen. It's not just in her blood. It's rewriting her DNA. And look at this. He zoomed in on the scan. There are traces of it in all of us. Marcus barked out a laugh. You're joking. I wish, Jax muttered. Remember when the planet screamed? That wasn't just sound. It was a transmission. The infection spreads through resonance frequencies. We've all been exposed. Lila's stomach dropped. So we're all turning into those things? Elena suddenly gasped, her back arching off the table. Her silver eyes flew open, but this time, her voice was calm, too calm. You don't understand, she said, her words precise. This isn't a disease. It's an evolution. Marcus took a step back. Okay, that's definitely not Elena. Elena, or what was left of her, sat up slowly. We are the next step. The unification of consciousness. No more loneliness. No more war. Just perfection. Lila reached for her pistol, but Elena moved faster, knocking it from her hand with unnatural speed. You'll thank us, Elena whispered. When the change is complete, you'll see. Jax's display suddenly blared an alarm. Guys, the containment field. It's failing. A thunderous crash shook the outpost as something massive hit the exterior walls. The airlock groaned under the pressure. Marcus grabbed a pulse rifle from a weapons rack. Well, looks like we do this the hard way. Lila turned back to Elena, her heart breaking. Elena, if you're still in there, fight this. Elena's face twisted, a war between human and something else. For a brief moment, her eyes cleared. Lila, the tomb's central chamber. There's a failsafe. Then the silver surged back, and her expression went blank. There is no failsafe, only unity. The airlock burst open. The Forgotten poured in. Not just scouts now, but twisted amalgamations of flesh and machine, their silver veins glowing in the dim light. At their center stood the towering figure from the tomb, its voice vibrating through the room. The time of resistance is over. Jax backed against the console. Lila, what do we do? Lila looked at Elena, then at the advancing horde. The answer came with terrifying clarity. We give them what they want, she said quietly. Marcus's head snapped toward her. Have you lost your damn mind? Lila met his gaze. Elena said there's a failsafe in the tomb's central chamber. If we can get there, and how exactly do you plan to do that? Marcus gestured to the sea of infected between them and the exit. Lila took a deep breath. We let them take us. Jax's eyes widened. You mean surrender? No, Lila said, staring at the silver-veined figure. I mean infiltration. The forgotten leader tilted its head, as if listening. Lila stepped forward, her hands raised. You want unity? Take me first. Marcus grabbed her arm. Lila, don't, she shook him off. Trust me. The room held its breath as the forgotten leader approached. It extended a clawed hand, pressing it against Lila's forehead. White-hot pain exploded behind her eyes as the connection formed. 1,000 voices screamed in her mind, but beneath the chaos, one thought emerged clear: the tomb, the key, the end. Then everything went black. Consciousness returned to Lila in fractured pieces. The first thing she noticed was the silence, the deafening, unnatural absence of the whispers that had haunted her for days. The second was the cold metal beneath her bare hands as she pushed herself up from the tomb's obsidian floor. Marcus and Jax lay unconscious nearby, their bodies limp but unharmed. Above them, the Forgotten's leader stood motionless before the central chamber's massive archway, its silver veins pulsing in rhythm with the glowing hieroglyphs. You're awake. Lila turned to see Elena, fully transformed, her body now shimmering with those same silver threads, but her voice was calm. Human, what did you do to me? Lila rasped. Elena tilted her head. We showed you the truth. The ones who built this tomb weren't heroes. They were executioners. A flicker of movement. Marcus groaned, stirring. Jax followed, his glasses cracked. ED, but his eyes alert. Lila, Marcus croaked. What the hell? The forgotten leader spoke without turning. You'll understand soon. All of you. Lila's fingers brushed the tomb wall. The hieroglyphs beneath her fingertips weren't just markings. They were memories. Flashes of a civilization purging its people, sealing them away for the crime of evolution. Jax sucked in a breath. It's a genocide site. They weren't infected, they were changed, and the others feared them. The leader finally turned. We were the first, the ones who heard the song of the cosmos. They called it madness, called us broken. Its voice softened. We do not wish to conquer, only to exist. Marcus rubbed his temple. Then why attack us? Why the screaming? The violence? Elena sighed. Because we had no choice. The tomb's seal was failing. We needed new voices to amplify the signal, to call for help. Lila's stomach dropped. Help from whom? A low hum filled the chamber as the central archway activated, its surface rippling like water. Beyond it, distant stars shimmered, not in the sky, but in a vast, endless network of silver threads. From the others, the leader whispered, "The ones like us, across the universe." Jack stumbled back. "You're a relay, a beacon." Lila understood now. The screaming planet, the whispers. It was all a distress call, one that had been trapped for millennia. Marcus exhaled sharply. "So what happens now?" The leader extended a hand. "Now you choose. Leave, and we will silence the call. Or stay, and help us rebuild. Elena mit Lidash Geish." "I've seen it, Lila. What we could be. No more loneliness. No more war. Just connection." The chamber trembled as the archway's light intensified. The call was being answered. Jax adjusted his glasses. "If we walk away, will they come anyway?" The leader's silver eyes gleamed. "Yes, but not as conquerors, as kin." Lila looked at Marcus, then Jax. The choice was impossible, but it was hers. She stepped forward and reached for the leader's hand. And that was the end of the story. Comment below if you want the next chapter, and hit that like button. Please subscribe, turn on the bell, and as always, keep the last light burning.